Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Ninja Kiwi, who says my 26 male gym buddy, 35 male, is cheating on my sister's 28 female best friend, 30 female. I told him we can't be friends anymore. Am I wrong? I used to train alone because I don't have to take others into account. I have a very irregular schedule and long hours, so this works for me. I train whenever I can. I also lift pretty heavy. I met Ben, 35 male, 8 months ago. He joined my gym and we hit it off. He talked to me and asked me if he could train in with me. I was hesitant, but I could use a spotter sometimes. He's a cop and surprisingly has the same irregular shifts as me. His lifting stats are very close to mine. We started working out together and pushing/motivating each other for higher personal records. As guys do, we started talking about hookups, dating and life in general during sets, and sometimes we hung out outside of the gym as well. He told me he was dating around and had a few fuck buddies. I thought nothing serious or exclusive because he was seeing several at the same time. One day, my sister, 28 female, came to the gym with me. Ben was there too. She recognized Ben as the boyfriend of her best friend, Ali, 30 female. I asked her if she was sure and what does she mean boyfriend/if they were exclusive. She told me yeah, and of course they're exclusive. I quickly changed the subject. The next time I met Ben at the gym, I asked him after our workout about Ali, and he confirmed he was indeed dating her. I asked him if she knew about the other girls. He said she did not. He was basically cheating on her. I felt very guilty and conflicted. I told him I knew Ali and she was a very nice girl and didn't deserve this kind of behavior. I said we could no longer be friends and I didn't want to train together anymore. I told him to cut all contact. He said he didn't understand and what had changed and said we were good friends and I shouldn't throw this away. I have to say a part of me still wants to train with him and hang out because I thought he was a good guy. But then I feel incredibly guilty towards Ali, and I know I can't do that to her. Our gym sessions were great, and I always felt pumped up. I told Ben no, and stopped texting and calling me. He still does, and it's kind of weird at the gym, but I ignore him. He still wants to be friends. Am I wrong? Is it my place to tell Ali to dump this guy because he's a cheater? Oftentimes, the harbinger of bad news gets crucified, so I don't want to tell my sister and burden her with this knowledge and task of telling Ali. What should I do? Tell Ali, tell my sister, shrug it off and still train and hang out with Ben? TLDR. Found out my gym buddy is the cheating boyfriend of my sister's friend. I got off contact. Am I wrong? Who should I tell? Ali, if anyone. Now, let's switch it up today because usually we talk about red flags. Let's talk about a green flag, and that was OP's response because, he didn't make an excuse because Ben was his friend or try to convince himself it wasn't his business. He realized that someone's partner was being cheated on and then decided he couldn't stay friends with someone who treated people that way, which I think is a great sign of his own character. And you can't really blame him for the way he's feeling about it. Because if you look at this guy, his gym friend, and think, this is the way he's willing to treat others, then why would you want to be around that in the end, right? Which is incredibly sad because it sounds like he made a great new friend in those moments. But, I don't blame him at all. A commenter says to OP, you're not wrong for not wanting to be friends with people who do shitty things. Commenter says, frankly, I think what OP did was an incredible sign of his character. Plenty of people would have felt uncomfortable, but would still continue to work out with scummy cop to avoid awkwardness. Some people might have gone a step farther and just cut contact with no explanation. But OP did the truly honorable and uncomfortable thing by explaining why he was cutting the friendship off. Good for you, OP. It would be a better world if there were more people like you in it. A commenter says, I love how he doesn't even understand the problem. He didn't even have an oh shit reaction when you told him you knew Ali. Normal people who do something wrong would have that reaction. Normal people would understand immediately that you've got a conflict of interest here and would swerve into damage control. Excuses, bragging, I'm reformed, something to mitigate the chances you'll tell. He didn't. He's completely, utterly remorseless about betraying his girlfriend's trust. You should tell literally everyone. This guy is insane, and everyone should avoid him. So OP does come in with her update and says, "Thank you for all the replies. Some were worried because Ben is a cop. Well, that would never stop me from doing the right thing, and I'm glad I did. I knew I had to tell Ali. You guys gave me the push I needed. I would have wanted to know and would be very upset if someone I knew was aware of my SO cheating and chose not to tell me. I found out the extent of Ben's douchebaggery. First, I told my sister right away that Ben was sleeping around and I wanted to warn Ali. She came with a bombshell. Ben was hitting on her too. That arsehole is infuriating me now. Ben sometimes tagged along when my sister and Ali would hang out, and Ben would always flirt and hit on my sister. This arsehole is making me so furious right now. My sister hadn't told Ali because she didn't want her to get hurt, and nothing happened. And never would, because Ben is Ali's boyfriend, and also my sister doesn't date arseholes. So I decided to tell Ali. My sister was there too. I decided to take the direct route and rip the truth out like a bushy woman getting a full Brazilian. It would be quick and sting, but not as much as slowly peeling it off. Apparently, Ali suspected some douchebaggery going on, because he was being secretive with his phone all of a sudden lately and hide when he was texting / turn away the screen, etc. Ali was upset, but she did see it coming, I guess, and was really glad I told her. She said she loved me like a brother of her own and really thanked me for the honesty. She was dumping Ben right away and wants to go no contact and block him on all media. I was at the gym yesterday and today, but didn't see him. We'll see how it goes. I'm not switching gyms because of this arsehole. I've trained there for years now, and know the owner and staff. I really love my gym. And I'm so glad that Ali found out and was able to make a decision for herself and dump this guy and move on. But I gotta say, OP's analogy in the middle there completely paused me for about 20 seconds. I was like, where the fuck did that come from? But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Our next post was on the Bora updates from Garden Geo, who put the post together, but the original user is Chungus Chaser. And it's a post from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit that says, "Am I the arsehole for giving sober friend soda water with bitters?" The editor put the note on there that bitters are extracts and a small drop can be added to cocktails for flavor. It is made from botanicals, roots and herbs, and the liquid base is usually alcohol. There are also digestive bitters meant to be eaten after a meal to help aid digestion. It starts. My friend and I decided to quit drinking on the same day. We are now about 100 days sober, and we're both really proud of it. We regularly share with each other the replacements we have found for alcohol. Shrubs, kombucha, mocktails, etc. Recently, another friend of mine who has been in active recovery for 8 years introduced me to the concept of putting aromatic bitters into soda water. I'm in love with this idea. It's cheaper and lower calorie than a lot of mocktails. You can usually find it even at a bar that only has well drinks, and the taste of the bitters really satisfies my cravings. When my new sober friend and I were hanging out the other day, I ordered this at the bar, told her it was bitters in soda water, and offered her a sip. She tried it. A few days later, she texted me saying, "Did you know bitters have alcohol?" I told her yes, I did, not even remembering that I gave her a sip of my drink the other day. And then she said that she's really upset with me that I would give her a sip of something that has alcohol in it. Now I realize that some people are very strict with their sobriety and would not have bitters in soda water, do not even drink kombucha or cook with alcohol. However, being newly sober, I'm going off what my friends who have been sober for years tell me, and they said lots of people don't consider bitters in soda water to be breaking sobriety in a meaningful way. This makes sense to me because when you calculate how much alcohol is in soda waters with the amount of bitters I put into it, it's something like 0.04 ABV, which as far as I understand, it means you would essentially need to drink 100 of these to consume the same amount of alcohol as one beer. It's also, fun fact, less alcohol than a ripe banana. I told my friend this when she told me she was upset with me because I thought this might give her some peace of mind that she didn't really break her sobriety. It seemed to have the opposite effect. She said that this doesn't fit into her standard of sobriety and told me it's not about the alcohol amount so much as that I had violated her boundaries. I think she feels that in telling her that the alcohol amount is negligible, I am avoiding accountability. She also said I would never offer this drink to her if I took her recovery seriously. I object to this because, hello, I am also in recovery and do this, and so do many other folks I know. Also, I did tell her the drink had bitters in it, and I genuinely did not know that she did not know what bitters are. I did apologize for assuming she knew what bitters were, and I did apologize for assuming we had the same definition of sobriety, but I wasn't maximally conciliatory, for instance. I pushed back on the idea that I don't take a recovery seriously because, even though I didn't say this, I feel like she's overreacting. Is she also not eating bananas now or drinking kombucha? I mean, it's fine if she's defining it that strictly, that's her prerogative. But from what I understand, that's not such a universal practice that I should have implicitly understood that. She said that my apology seems disingenuous. The irony is, I don't know how much more I can apologize without actually being disingenuous, because I honestly think it's mostly a miscommunication. I've asked a bunch of my friends in the sober community about this, and everyone seems to think that she's being unreasonable. One even went so far to say that in recovery you learn that ultimately the only person responsible for what you put in your body is you. So her entire premise is flawed, which is even further than I'm gonna go. But my friend who is mad at me said she also talked to people in recovery and everyone agreed what you did was completely out of line and inconsiderate. I have to admit, I'm wondering if she told the story like someone gave me an alcoholic drink without telling me, which is, in my opinion, different from what happened because again, 1, I told her there were bitters in it, and 2, I would not call that an alcoholic drink. But yeah, so the mixed responses is why I've come to Reddit. She said she is so angry and hurt that she's going to skip my goodbye dinner I had planned for this week before I move across the country. I'm honestly not sure she's ever going to speak to me again. Am I the arsehole? The first commenter said, I'm starting to think a lot of people are unaware of all the products they consume that have a minuscule amount of alcohol in it. Commenter says, I agree that she's entitled to set her own boundaries around this. This drink with bitters would have had around the same amount of alcohol in a serving of yogurt, a glass of orange juice or sourdough bread, and the sip she took would have had a very minute amount. I don't think it's fair for her to get angry at OP for not knowing her personal rules around non-alcoholic drinks. Commenter says, the ABV would be around 0.3% tops for a soda water with a few dashes of bitters. That is less than most non-alcoholic beers. Not the arsehole. For the record though, there are non-alcoholic bitters on the market. Commenter says, not the arsehole. When your friend asked what was in the drink, you told her bitters and soda water. At that point, if she didn't know what bitters were or whether they contained alcohol, it was reasonable for her to ask a follow-up question. Most people aren't going to stop and explain every ingredient they mention unless someone indicates they're unfamiliar with it. Once you realize she has a stricter definition of sobriety, apologizing for the misunderstanding was the right thing to do, but this sounds like an honest miscommunication, not deception or disrespect for a recovery. Going as far as saying you don't take her sobriety seriously or ending the friendship over it feels disproportionate given what actually happened. Another commenter says, aren't there trace amounts of alcohol in pretty much anything with sugar? Fermentation happens. Commenter says, as a person approaching 10 years of sobriety, I would say you're not the arsehole. You apologized, and given that it was a small and honest mistake, there's not much more for you to do. Your friend has to take their own accountability at some point. Now, you cannot force them to forgive you as that is entirely on them, but just do your best to accept things you cannot change and grow/move on. Be well. And one more commenter who says, I can understand both sides and think ultimately you are not the arsehole. However, I would take this as a learning experience. For other sober friends, be more forthcoming with what is in something you are offering. If you know a friend is sober and something you are offering contains alcohol, even small amounts, I would mention it in the future. For some people, just knowing that they broke a rule or broke sobriety could be enough to derail them. For others, it could have no effect. As someone who has many food allergies, I've learned over time that I can't really eat other people's food unless I read the ingredients. This particular sober friend might need to learn that they only ingest things that they have prepared, so that they know everything that has gone into it. So after all this, OP comes in with a brief update and says thanks everyone who responded, except maybe the person who said I'm a giant piece of shit. Lol. Reading the posts from people who thought I was the arsehole helped me understand her perspective more. And seeing how controversial this is taught me that there is no universal definition of sobriety. In the future, I'll be much clearer. I did give my friend a more heartfelt apology while also telling her that we probably should have had a conversation about what our precise boundaries with alcohol are, rather than assuming we're approaching it exactly the same way. We're going to take a little space right now, but I think there's a path for repair. And thanks everyone who wished me well on my sobriety journey. To everyone else on this journey, stay strong. We've got this. But now, I'm going to turn this one straight to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from a throwaway account from the relationship advice subreddit. And it says, I believe my 30 female boyfriend, 37 male, might dump me after a comment I made last Saturday about how I got pregnant. Last Saturday, me and people from work had a dinner and a party afterwards to say goodbye to a co-worker that is moving to a different branch on the other side of the country. After the restaurant, many of us brought our boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands and wives as agreed and kept on partying. With time, I got a bit drunk, and at one point I was outside with a few co-workers that smoke. We were talking about bad decisions while being drunk, and at one point I said something like, I got one of my daughters made on a nightclub bathroom, and the other one on the beach one night. In our language, it just sounds very ugly and irresponsible. My daughters are from 2 different men, and they both fled after they knew I was pregnant. He didn't hear it because he was inside with the guys, but one of my co-workers told him, a woman. And I believe she did it because she wants him, and this way she knew she would hurt our relationship. He's a widower and has a 5-year-old daughter, and he is the opposite of what I used to be. Calm, reliable, trustworthy, cheerful, and a great father to his child. I can't believe I may lose him for something like this. We've been dating for 6 months and I'm in love with him. But alcohol took the best of me, and I behaved like my old self that night and talked like I used to talk and made an ass of myself. He went on a work travel on Monday and arrived today and told me he wants us to talk this afternoon, and I fear he might dump me. How can I convince him I'm no longer that person and that I've changed? So, a commenter that Opie replies to says, the issue is not how you behaved in the past. I'm assuming he has an idea since you have 2 children with 2 different men and neither is around. The issue is about how you behave now, which is not good. Understand that his situation is different because he has a 5-year-old daughter that he's solely responsible for who has no mother. He's not making decisions for himself and has to consider what kind of influence the woman he chooses will have on his 5-year-old female child. You can't blame him for that, and you must respect that. The stakes are high for him and he's not going to take any chances with his daughter. That little girl has been through so much, losing a mother at such a young age. The fact that maybe that you really aren't in a position or state of mind to be a good stable influence and a role model for her. You may have to accept that and be more concerned about yourself and the effect your behavior may have on your own children. What if they ever find out you said those things? It's concerning that you don't sound like you're worried about that and you're more concerned about how it affects your relationship with a guy. It also doesn't sound like you're concerned about your relationship with alcohol. Blaming what you said on the fact that you were drunk isn't going to help because the issue is that you were drunk, not just things you said. So what do you do now? You soul search now and decide what kind of woman and mother you want to be moving forward, and you take steps you need to take to get there. You should go sit in an AA meeting and listen to what they have to say. Respect that you may not be in a position to be in a relationship with this man and this child right now, and work on making changes for yourself and your children. If you do that, the future will take care of itself, and if this relationship is meant to be, it will be. If not, you'll be in a better position to attract someone else that has the qualities you're looking for in a man. If you tell him that you've thought about the things you have just mentioned, and tell him you have a plan to work on those things by not drinking, attending AA and getting some type of therapy, you may have a chance to save this and save yourself. Opie says thank you. Reading this comment hurt much more than the rest because it is the truth in a much more deeper level. I understand what you said. I appreciate it, and I'll think about it. Thanks again. Commenter says, hello, alcoholic here. Nearly 3 years sober, assuming I don't relapse, which is always a possibility. Come lurk with the Stop Drinking subreddit. It was a literal lifesaver for me. It helped me feel less alone, less broken. Commenter says, OP, alcohol is not for you. Even if alcohol is served at a work event, it's not a license to get so drunk and inappropriate. I think you should reflect on your relationship with alcohol. Given the theme you mentioned in your post, that might come up in your conversation with your partner, who is a father to a vulnerable young daughter. Put yourself in his shoes. Would he want someone with an alcohol problem around his 5-year-old girl? But don't do it for him. Do it for yourself and your own daughters. Sweet Tooth says a work event with alcohol means you want to be on your best behavior. Don't shit where you eat. You want to have a good relationships with colleagues. And one more comment saying precisely. I know about a man whose life unraveled because of his drunken misconduct during a work event. He lost his job, got sued for sexual harassment of a work colleague during an aforementioned drunken misconduct at work event, and got a divorce subsequently. So at some point, Opie does come in with her update and says, first of all, thanks for all the replies, especially the ones giving advice and being supportive, and also the critical ones, which I clearly deserved but helped me understand his point of view. Well, we talked after he got here from his work trip. Talked for a few hours about a lot of stuff, and as I expected, he wanted to break up with me. He said he saw a side of me he didn't know the other night, and he didn't like it at all. He felt pretty embarrassed when my coworker mentioned what I had said to him and the other guys, and they all laughed and covered their faces. Apparently she didn't know he is my boyfriend, but I didn't believe her. That's a lie. She knew what she was doing, but he isn't super upset with her anyway. I accepted his view and told him that for a few hours, and since I was with him, I let my guard completely down and behaved like that. But that's not who I want to be, and not who I will be in the future. That I've been already working on myself and my habits, especially since I met him, and that I take him as an example and inspiration. That I've decided that from now on, no matter the circumstances, it's zero alcohol for me, and that I'm going to focus on myself and my children and the person I need to be. He said that this is a great decision, and that he knows I will eventually get there, and wishes me the best, but still, he feels like we are not the right companions for each other, and that he wants to focus on his daughter for a time, and that maybe he won't be dating anyone in the near future because being a good father is the most important thing for him. He said that since I didn't really bring up completely the way I got my kids, he already imagined something similar to what I told the other night, that we all make bad choices, and that he had a difficult and wild youth with a few legal problems and violence even, after his girlfriend died in a car accident when he was 15. He never before mentioned this, and he got mentally lost, but managed to get back on track eventually and marry. So he was ready not to be judgmental because he knows what it is to struggle, and really liked me and finds me very attractive and funny. But right now his daughter is his universe, and he will solely focus on her again. I think the image he has of me completely changed after seeing me like that, and after being embarrassed publicly by my stupid words and actions. I think he doesn't see me the same, and I could see it even in his eyes while we talked yesterday. I feel like such a failure, and I feel so ashamed of myself. So it's over. Sorry I didn't come back earlier, but I was heartbroken and sad because he is leaving me, and he is right doing so. I would leave in his position too. I feel like without him by my side, it's going to be more difficult, but I will get up and progress. Thank you. Commenter says, as someone who messed up life in the first half, stopping alcohol is a great decision. You won't regret it. Opie replies and saying, I'm certain of that. Hey look, Atako says, it's a 6-month relationship. Time to set it free and focus on the most important relationship in your life. Yours with those babies. They're all that matter. Others will come and go. You're going to be fine. Onwards and upwards. Commenter says, I mean, he admitted he wasn't better than you. That's a courageous step to take, and that he made mistakes in the past as well. I don't think he sees you in a bad light. He made pretty clear what he was thinking about you after the talk. But I kind of understand his point of view. A relationship, especially a new one, needs a lot of time to invest in. That is time that he can't invest in his daughter, especially when he's a single parent. And somebody would suffer, either you or his daughter, so if it's just about his daughter, it's surely sad for you and the relationship, but understandable somehow. Opie says yeah, and stupidly enough, that part of himself that showed to me yesterday made me like him even much more for some reason, and now I lost him and it sucks so bad. Another commenter says, if you make the changes you committed to, then the next time you meet someone like this, you'll be in a much better position yourself. I wish you the best. Managing a relationship with alcohol isn't always easy. So be honest with yourself and vigilant to the temptations. Rose says, I wouldn't say Opie's ex was being judgmental or displaying double standards. Opie stated he already kind of suspected that she conceived her kids in a wild and/or irresponsible way, but he still stayed with her because he wasn't trying to shame her for it. It was OP being drunk as fuck and publicly humiliating herself and him, and her doing it in front of her co-workers that was the nail in her coffin. She showed that she was still irresponsible to an extent. He didn't/doesn't trust her judgment. And while he may have had a wild and dangerous youth himself, he wasn't embarrassing OP, privately or publicly, with his past lapses in judgment. OP says hurts to read, but it's basically what happened. Yeah. So he pretty much had already guessed her past wasn't perfect and had chosen to date her anyway, and I think, wow, You know what changed was seeing her get drunk enough at a work event to loudly joke about it and say the things she did in those moments. And I think, bloody hell, why did you say that? And then, you know, he reflected and thought about his daughter, which absolutely, his daughter is going to be his priority in his life, and you can't blame him for that at all. And I'm glad in some ways OP turned around and accepted, you know, this was the wake-up call that she needed, and hopefully she continues down that path. Well, you know, her ex was acknowledging that he made mistakes himself in the past and wasn't really judging her for it. And I don't think he, like that commenter said, saw her in a bad light because of the mistakes he made, but he had to make a choice of prioritizing his daughter, and that's absolutely what he did. And again, you can't blame him for that. But OP was taking an absolute bashing in the comments, and for me, I just really do wish her the best, because she's clearly got some demons herself that she's dealing with, and you know, I wish her the best with those as well. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.